There is no good way to phrase this. I have been trying to record and actually phrase this a certain way so that I don't sound like an asshole, but that does not seem possible. Now, if you guys are wondering what I mean, I've been trying to talk about this for the last 2 hours because I finally found it. What do I mean by that? I mean, as soon as I started What If Deku had 10 quirks, a YouTuber had actually posted What If Deku had 25 quirks the day before. Now, I am very sure that I have been posting and talking about 10 Quirk Deku for probably about a week or a couple of days. Because I know I sometimes like to rant, but this isn't more of a rant before the video starts. It's more of, it might seem like I either copied this guy or this guy copied me. That is not the case, so in case you guys are trying to say that to this person or say that to me, because they upload longer. Well, they don't. I upload more often than they do, so that might look like what it seems. But if you look at the dates the videos are posted, it might seem like I copied their idea as soon as I saw it. But that's not the case because they said that my series was a lot different than what their series is. So they said that they didn't really care about it. So since I essentially took that as a sign that I had a green light and I didn't know what they were doing, after researching it and finally finding it, I finally found their page, which is called XOR What If, and they made a Deku with 25 quirks. Now, because after finding out about this, I have spent the last 2 hours trying to phrase this properly, not sounding like I'm some ignorant person that is doing that. Now, what I mean by this is, they had an idea for a what if, and I had a similar idea. I've had this idea, and I have probably about a page with 30 different quirks written down on it, with at least a third of them to half of them crossed out. Now, since I am speaking about this, I seem to have more subscribers than they do, and I would really appreciate if you guys actually did go over to their channel and give them a look and try out some of their content, because they're doing what I don't do, and they're covering what ifs that people have already seen to cover. They're doing what if Deku had explosions, and what if Deku had 25 quirks right now. And they are only actually at 50 subscribers. Now, after speaking about all that, I am finally going to be getting into this what if. Okay. Today has not been very calm. A lot of things have been happening. So, I'm trying to keep my mind as clear and calm as possible, but all I feel like doing is punching through a cement wall until my fist and knuckles are broken. Now, if that sounds very weird coming from me since I'm very calm, I don't voice my frustrations very well and I bottle up my anger. Now, I'm just gonna edit that part out. Random cut. Anyways, I love that my recording is doing that again. Now, today's been very hectic and very busy. I've had to go Christmas shopping, and I've also had to buy a gift for my sister for her birthday. I already did Christmas shopping for her. Now, I'm going to be getting into this what if now. Before the pain in my eyes gets any worse. Anyways, Deku and Toru, since they were essentially the two people last in the sports festival, with Deku actually getting first place, he was actually offered to go to Island. Or Toru essentially went with All Might to Island. But Deku, he was actually given the chance to go there because they offered him a They didn't offer him, but after testing one of Deku's latest quirks, they sent the researcher over to Mr. Shield, and Mr. Shield was actually very interested in meeting Deku in person, since he's basically a walking medical anomaly. That probably does not sound very good, but it's the best way to describe it, because he's gone over the limit of quirks a person can have, won't be born with naturally, especially with manifestable quirks. So Mr. Shield wants to run tests on Deku and actually see if he may manifest more quirks. My arm popped. Anyways, that hurt a lot. Now, Deku, he would have asked his mom if this is okay, or his parents. They would have said that this is amazing and it's actually a good thing, so he should go. Now, he would actually be on the plane with All Might and Toru, and this is whenever they would arrive. As soon as they arrive, security would immediately try and detain Deku, saying that he needs to come with them and he also needs to wear these. They would actually put on a pair of, well, not handcuffs, but they somewhat look like training bracelets, but as soon as Deku would put them on, he actually feels a bit funny. Then, ow. After this, these are essentially quirk nullifying bracelets. And that alone should tell you how advanced technology on Island already is. Now, because of this, Deku would immediately be detained and immediately go meet Mr. Shield along with Melissa. Now, along the way, because Deku would have complied with this, along the way he would have actually ran into Melissa and she would have seen him. And she would recognize the cuffs she designed, saying that they need to take those off of him right now and he didn't do anything wrong. He's not a criminal. This is a place for people to use their quirks, and he should be going on all about all that. And this is whenever they would say that this is Izuku Midoriya. As soon as she would have heard that name, she would have immediately uncuffed him or taken these devices off with a biometric signature basically linked to DNA. What that means is if you have basically fingerprints, it's like a locked door and only your fingerprints can open it. So she would do that, and they are telling her not to do that because that's not what her father advised, and she would just say that her dad doesn't know anything because if he knew a single thing about these kids or this kid, then he wouldn't have put handcuffs on him as soon as he walked through the door. Now, after that, she would actually be saying that she's sorry for what her dad did and about the security team, and it's a pleasure to meet him. He would shake her hand, saying that it's quite likewise because he's always wondered about this place. And she would then be somewhat fangirling as she's essentially meeting a living legend. And Deku would then go on saying that... anyways, this is whenever Deku would say that he's no legend, he's just a man with power. Or he's just a person with a quirk. Now, she would say that that's not true, and this is whenever Mr. Shield would immediately just arrive on the scene, actually asking why he's not wearing the cuffs, and someone talking to him. But he's trying to be very calm, and this is whenever Deku would ask why he needed to wear the cuffs. All Might would actually pop up saying that there's no need, this kid's a hero, in fact he has actually helped train my next successor. Now, after that would happen, this is whenever Mr. Shields would introduce himself to Midoriya, properly saying that he's sorry about that, but there are certain security precautions in place because of how their last event at the park happened. Now, what happened at their last event was essentially a quirklet actually had 3 to 4 quirks, and they had sensory overload at the park. Basically, all the sounds, all the places, and everything people were doing, it essentially overloaded it basically sent them into sensory overload, having a meltdown. And they actually somewhat made a scene, and actually almost killed 2 security guards. Now that alone would be bad enough, but the fact that there's a Quirklet kind of made it worse. So they would have taken this precaution with having very, very limited things for Quirklets to do on the island. Now, because of that, Midoriya would say that he understands and it's fine, and they would actually like to run research on him and test to see what he can actually do. He would say that he actually has an entire place for them to test his quirk, along with the fight against 500 robots to see where he stands. Deku would say that that's going to be a bit too easy, and he would ask what he means. He would then say that during the entrance exam, he took down so many they had to... Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but he took down so many alone that they had to actually restock every robot. Shield would say that he doubts that as the exercise would start. Shield would say that the standardized time he thinks that Midoriya can complete this, especially since he's heard about his quirks, is about 5 to 7 minutes. Deku would immediately put his hands up as he would ascend into the air. As he does that, all the robots would immediately start piling into each other. And this is then whenever Deku would just start burning them alive. Not alive, they're robots. He would just start lighting them on fire, and he's just putting this to the point where they're all melting together. After this, Deku would have made a giant ball of metal, and gears, and wires, and tubes. Now, he actually did this in 2 minutes, and this is whenever David is actually very concerned, saying that was far beyond anything he predicted, and it's both beautiful and horrifying to see. That is whenever Deku, he would be told, or he would go through the course and actually beat it in less than 3 seconds with Bakugo and everyone. Bakugo would probably get 6 or 7 seconds, unlike his original 8 in canon, and Todoroki would actually get about, I want to say the same time. So about, I want to say tying with Bakugo. Now then. Let's see. Toru is actually talking with Melissa after hearing that she is the actual successor to All Might's Quirk, not Midoriya, which confused her a bit more. After the explanation and showing her the footage of what happened at the USJ, she is not only a bit horrified, but she's a bit impressed, saying that if his body can take that much damage, what is his limit? Deku would say he doesn't really know, and he's always been trying to figure that out. In fact, let's say this is before the whole Black Forest training arc, so it's right in between these two. This is whenever Deku would say he doesn't really know, he's never really tried reaching that far. In fact, it's like constantly tumbling between the border between madness and sanity. You just keep switching back and forth so rapidly, your mind just might turn to mush. Now, let us cut to the dinner. And as soon as everyone would arrive, Deku would just arrive in his standardized hero suit, and people are asking why he's just wearing that. Melissa would be confused, saying, what do they mean? And they would say that that's just Deku's regular hero suit, as Deku would just say that it's good for any occasion, as he would then fix one of his cufflinks, actually wearing a long-sleeve shirt for once. Now, because of that, as soon as the entire room got locked down, Midoriya immediately, as soon as everyone walked in, he was shot with a gun that actually threw one of these bracers at his arm. Now, as soon as it actually hit him, he would have taken off running. Everyone in the room is concerned and confused as Toru would have turned on full cowling and started jumping around the area. And she would have actually stripped, turning herself invisible since she does not have access to her hero suit. Now, eventually, Deku and Toru would meet up, but this is after she would find him and startle him pretty bad. He would then tell her that first, they need to get this thing off of him, or first they need to find her clothes. Second, they need to get this thing off of him. They would eventually probably find her at least like a janitor's, not a janitor's. Let's say they would have actually been able to use Deku's telekinesis. No, wait, Deku's cuffed. I was gonna say something, but that would not work. Let us say that they would have actually made their way and actually stealthily got back to, or Toru would have been able to get back to her dorm somewhat, but getting through the window would have been a harder task. So Deku would have actually had to jump in there, or climb up the side of the building, jumping in there, because he does have the actual physical training to do so and get her clothes. He would have gotten like a piece of her hero uniform. Not a piece. I would say prototype gear, but I didn't plan this far ahead. Anyways, he would have gotten her some pretty standard clothes, and as soon as that would happen, this is whenever Midoriya, well, she would immediately turn on invisible after getting her clothes on. Yeah, this is somewhat weird for me to say, and they would then start with the battle, or start with the solution. She would be trying to punch this thing off of Deku's arm, and she would eventually be able to rip it off, but it wouldn't come. Well, she would be trying to rip it off over and over again, but Deku gives a very, very rapid suggestion. Break his arm, or punch him in the arm and punch it off. She's calling him crazy. He's saying it won't work because it will get the device off and his regeneration will kick in. After doing this reluctantly, Deku would have screamed as his regeneration and adrenaline would kick in, and then they would just start running around, breaking through robots. These things are actually bigger than the 0-pointers. Not 0-pointers, bigger than the 3-pointers, but nowhere near the size of the 0-pointer. They would have gotten back. They would have actually been able to, with Deku's super intelligence, help figure out a way to get these things off of everyone. And Class 1A is off to the races. They would come across a lot of the villains that they came across during the whole arc. Todoroki, Bakugo, and Kirishima would have tried staying behind to actually fight these villains, but Deku would have immediately just taken them down by smashing all their heads together and somewhat spiking them with fear. Now, he's told that he immediately has to get to the top of the building because that's where everything's going on. He would teleport, or he would create a portal and immediately just teleport there. Or not teleport, because it's basically acts like Doctor Strange. He would just open up a portal, go through it, and actually arrive there. Everyone would come through, and we actually get a good boss battle, with All Might actually getting free, and him, Toru, and Deku, being the big powerhouses on the island, would actually fight against a giant super robot. Now then, this thing's actually stronger than in canon, if not twice as strong, and the fact that 3 people with basically one for all exist now, this thing doesn't stand a chance. Now, instead of a double Detroit Smash, it's actually called a triple Delaware Smash. Now, Deku, he would have actually been able to use his weaponized ability along with his amp to actually short out a lot of the electrical equipment in the robot and defend and rip apart quite a few of its body parts and limbs. Now, after doing so, Tora would have been able to defend herself by just punching straight through the concrete, and All Might would have actually guided them on where to go and what they need to do, and they would have eventually won. Melissa would actually stay on the island to try and help restore her family's name, and try and figure out why her dad did what she did, along with having a bit more data on Midoriya, which would not help yet. Now, lingering plot thread. Dun dun dun. Now then, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and again, the part I recorded beforehand, I have spent the last couple hours, or 2 to 3 hours, trying to figure out how to phrase that without being very rude or mean, but also, I found everything I finally needed to know about that channel, and exactly when they posted, especially whenever, well, not when they posted, but they contacted me, they posted, and everything, so we're not copying each other, we just had similar ideas. That's all that happened. And because my idea was similar to theirs, they gave me permission, but since I also changed up the quirks a lot, they allowed me to do that. Or they didn't allow me, but they said that they didn't care that I did this. So if you guys would like to check out their channel, I can't leave a link below because I think you need to have that person send it to you. But please go check out their channel. Again, I will put it in the description as their name. Just search it up on YouTube and just please support them. They are a very small channel and they only have 50 subscribers. And I know a lot of people who watch my what ifs actually probably aren't subscribed. And I'm not asking you to subscribe, I'm just asking you to go over there and check them out. Now, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and peace out, y'all.